Hello, everyone. Hey, K Brace. Hey, Ava. Hello, Danielle. Hi. Let's see. Thelma's Louise, Corey, Preschool Granny, Vanessa A, Thor, Mark, Petunia, Shmita, Adrian. Good to see everyone. Allie's here. Yay. Marcus, Tess, welcome. Good to see everybody. It's been a minute since we've been over here. It's Jeanette, Savvy's aunt, the wheels on the bus. Hello. I hope I didn't miss anybody because I didn't mean to. Let me see. Um, okay. Anyway, let me add Allie to the stream and let's get started. Well, let's not get started all the way yet. Let's have a word from our sponsor, KK.
And Kai, when you're on Jen Lou's channel, what do you do with the like button?
Smash, smash, smash! Yeah.
Damn, I missed that guy. I missed being over here. We ain't
I
been here
miss
for.
Kai. Hi, Fruit Fly. Hi, Brooke. Yeah, I do enjoy Kai. Hi, Lexi. Oh, goodness. Okay. So, um, I had to listen to the text messages technically 3 times. I started last night, and then I fell asleep. And then I started again today, and I fell asleep again. And we're about to listen to them. I started listening to them again because my whole intention for listening to them in the first place was to, hear the text messages and just, get the timestamps, but then I freaking fell asleep. So it was what it was, and, yeah, so now we're all just gonna have to suffer for those text messages.
Well,
I
that's all
wasn't
right.
ready.
I have not listened to them yet, I'll be honest. So I'm excited to hear. I mean, I've
Also
seen some, but
yeah, well, I was not ready, and just to keep you guys, hold on a second. Let me do this one. Just to keep you guys, apprised of all the things. So, both sides have rested, okay? Lori is not gonna testify. Obviously, both sides have rested. And, tomorrow will be jury instructions, and then Thursday will be closing arguments, and depending on how long closing arguments go, the jury could, get them Thursday or Friday, perhaps, to start deliberating, but the verdict, of all things, the verdict, which I'm glad for some things, I guess. Oh, by the way, Allie, you don't have your, thingy. Your,
what?
avatar isn't showing.
Okay.
If you just click your picture and then click the 3 dots, that's how you fix it. I remember now how to tell you to do it
iPhone.
the right way. Oh, it's
You'll have
iPhone, is it different?
I think so because I don't have it. Like it won't let me click the picture, and then the three dots. Like I have those, but it says the camera settings. All I have is front or back, but that's it. No, that's okay. I'll go out and in a second.
Okay. So, they're gonna allow cameras in the courtroom for the verdict, but it's not gonna be it's the cameras that are already in the courtroom. So it's not like, for example, like Court TV or Law and Crime can yeah, but it's
Okay.
not gonna be a WebEx, and Nate Eaton said that the, East Idaho News will stream it.
Are you
So
gonna stream? You should. I was
I
gonna ask.
am. Yeah, I
Yeah,
have to stream it. I have to. We have to know what the verdict is because
yeah.
and
Great.
also after the verdict and everything, Allie and I plan to, "Hey, S. Hockett, um, hey, Rich, hey, Riddler," go like do kind of more of a deep dive into the actual trial because I learned some stuff in these text messages, and I also have been sort of I'm not sure, Danielle. I'll have to find out. I think it should be fairly soon. I find it interesting though that the hair that was holding up Chad's trial, the results are in. I don't know what more his experts could have done with that, you
Yeah.
know, to analyze it. They should have been tried together. I understand. Hi, Parker. Understand why they did it.
Hey, Parker.
Just
Hey,
in
Rich.
case, they were really coming up on encroaching on her right to a speedy trial, and you never
Yeah.
want to do that. That's always bad news bears. But I'm not going to lie. I do feel a little bit like it was on Chad's lawyer's part. I do believe it feels like a little bit of dirty pool. Not going to lie. That's how I feel. Hey, Big Crumbs. So, yeah. I think that they do, Sama. I do. I do think that the court has video of the proceedings. I do. Uh-huh. Ah, there she is. Oh my god.
Text messages.
Oh my god. I don't know. I never noticed how that her little hair is messed up at the top.
I thought the text messages and the mood up in it.
Oh my god.
So while we're listening, you'll see me looking at you like this.
Oh my god. I
Oh.
can't. So, yeah, like the texts are, you guys, I've heard it. It's not like I haven't heard any of it. I've heard it. And I'm telling y'all right now, y'all ain't ready. I wasn't ready. Y'all ain't gonna be ready. Allie ain't gonna be ready, but we're gonna get through it together. And oh my god, that would have been so funny if you had this up when the peen bomber.
Oh my god, my face is hurting. Plus, when you laugh like you got so tickled, it made me nervous.
Oh my god.
Well, Peen Bomber, if you're listening, this is what we were all thinking, okay?
This is exactly what we were all thinking.
Oh,
I
my
was telling my son about it, and he is like, "What the fuck, mom?" I was like, "What do you think? I sent out an invite?" He's
Like,
like, "No, but like, he's like, "Were they trying to get you and Allie down to somebody not like y'all?" And I was like, "I don't know." He's like, "You know how these YouTube streets be?" And I was like, "I do know.
yes.
I'm shocked you know."
How do you know?
Oh my god. All right, okay.
Oh,
Um,
that was so funny.
it was now I don't know if this says the full audio of the text, and and it's shorter than some of the other ones that I've seen. So I think what they did is clip off the motions in the very beginning. So here's what happened in the very beginning. Hey Ava, um, hey Kathy. In the very beginning, the defense has an issue with the prosecution's exhibits, okay, because they're a PowerPoint, and they're arguing that the guy that put them together, what is his name? Something Edwards. Hold on, let me look. I wrote it down because I knew I was never going to remember. Anyway, hold on, I got to find it. Anyway, the guy that put it together, he's all, well, he put it together through with police reports that are not from that haven't been entered into evidence yet, which I was annoyed because let me just say this, it's a summation, and he was trying to say, oh no, it's, this is what closing arguments are for. And normally I can see the defense's side on stuff, but this time, no, I couldn't because I guess I don't know why I couldn't really see where he's coming from, because I feel like they're just grasping at straws at this point. And any appeal, like let's say she's found guilty, any appeal that she has is going to be based on some kind of error, not any kind of actual innocence claim, or and it's going to be like a very, very small error. It's Nick Edwards was the detective that put it together. So anyway, the judge was like, well, the judge didn't understand the James and Elena story. And quite frankly, neither do I, but here's the deal. The reason that the judge didn't allow it out of an abundance of caution is because I don't think he understood what the prosecutor was saying. But let me tell you this, during this whole thing today or yesterday, the defense objected repeatedly. And let me tell you, Miss Blake was on it. She didn't even argue back. She just switched the way she asked the question. I mean, just like that. She did brilliantly. I was very impressed. But the thing with James and Elena is that is the story of Lori and Chad's life and whatnot, right? But the names are changed, and basically,
Right.
not like he sent it in one fell swoop. Okay, he sent it over multiple texts. So when they pulled the iCloud, it's interspersed with other things. And
Mm.
so when they put it all together, the judge felt like that's not a summation. But then I think, yeah, but it was. So it is what it is. It was completely cringy, but there's some really good nuggets of information in here that are new, and I don't think have been testified to because I was shocked by them. So let's get started. I put the closed captions on. It's a little slow, so we're going to have to speed it up to 1.25. And I'm going to tell y'all right now, there's a huge cringe factor. It's icky. I don't know another way to say it. Brace yourselves. That's all I can tell you. Okay? Just brace yourselves. All right,
Oh,
here we go.
okay.
All right, we're on the record on KCR 22-21-1624, State of Idaho versus Lori Noreen Vallow. This is continuing jury trial. The state's in its case in chief.
I need to have it.
The jurors are all here and present. They're not in the courtroom yet this morning. The state's here.
You cut out, Jen. Just heard you need to have.
So as well as the defense attorneys and the court's advised the state had a request to hear a sua sponte motion this morning, apparently, before we bring the jurors in.
Your Honor,
Okay.
what the state requested is we had submitted some summary exhibits.
No,
to
they
defense. It's my
didn't. Let
understanding
me
they're going
skip
to have
through
objection to
this.
those. We were hoping to this evidence was needless.
Bringing it to the court's attention this morning without.
Yet you are.
Why was that
Hold on.
communications with?
All right, with that in mind, then.
All right.
Ms. Smith, if you'd like
I
to
was just going
continue
to
with your
say, this is like the
Thank you,
87th
Your Honor.
time I've heard this.
Good morning.
I need a
Morning.
cig. I'll be right back. Okay.
We had just finished with some text on July 15th of 2019 and ending with a chat that had occurred with Lori Vallow and from Charles Vallow's son. Do you recall?
Yes.
Let us turn to some more conversations or information you included in your summary from July 15th of 2019. So if you could look at the next slide, I think it's noted as slide 16, and take a look at this. Now, this is the same exhibit that you prepared in summary for court today?
Yes.
And just so the record's clear, the summary is a summary of what?
It's a summary of content from two iCloud accounts, Lori for Style at iCloud.com and LollyTime at iCloud.com.
That was part of the evidence submitted obtained by the investigators containing the defendant's communications with people.
Correct.
Now, if you could take a look at the next slide, and we'll go through just these two on the 15th. Can you tell us why you included these two messages?
Yes, I included these messages because they were a reference to the relationship between Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow, and there was a statement from Lori Vallow about the status of that relationship.
Okay. If you could just read into the record, please, so that it's clear, what are the text communications between Chad Daybell, and Lori Vallow that you included from July 15th?
Line 2827 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. I know you won't get this text for another hour or so, but my love for you is overflowing right now. I just want to hold you endlessly. You are my wonderful best friend that I can't live without. Line 2826 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. And yet you are so sad. Missing you. Just landed. Got to get to work.
And so why did these two particular texts amongst the thousands that you saw catch your attention and include in the summary?
It discusses Chad Daybell's statement that he can't live without Lori Vallow, and she responds, and yet you are.
Why was that relevant for investigative purposes?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for a legal conclusion.
My question was cut off, Your Honor. I said, why
What
was that
am I?
for
Let's see.
investigators purposes?
And I'm objecting as it calls for a legal conclusion.
It's overruled.
Thank you, Your Honor. You may answer.
It was clear to investigators that the relationship between Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow was a driving force behind the crimes that have been alleged in this case.
Reminds
Turning
me of
to some conversations on July 18th. And I believe these go on for a few bits, but could you take a look at them?
I'll say thank
Why
you.
did you
But
include these particular communications?
hey, man,
This slide and 2 or 3 slides after this slide contain a text string between Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow regarding the fact that Charles Vallow had changed the beneficiary of his life insurance from Lori Vallow to another individual. I included this because it was pertinent in terms of potential financial motives in this case.
If you could, starting with the lines on page 17, could you take a look at those and read those into the record?
Yes. Line 2706 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. I just got the letter from the insurance company saying that I am not the beneficiary. It is a spear through my heart. Who do you think he changed it to?
wow.
Brandon, or probably Kay. He left nothing for JJ. Line 2705 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. Wow, that's terrible. There's no way to find out. Line 2704 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. I might be able to see when I get his computer on Sunday. I could check the emails sent to the insurance company. It will show change of beneficiary. He must have done it recently.
If you
He
could,
did leave
on
for
slide
JJ.
18, read
He's
those as
just
well.
not for
Line 2703 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. It seems you would have had to agree to the change. Maybe your name was forged. You should have a good paper trail to prove it. Line 2702 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. I love you. This is terrible, but it is probably another step in bringing down the Gadiantons, especially Brandon. Line 2701 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. Nope, he can change it anytime he wants. He's the agent, and anyone can change their beneficiary anytime with their own signature. I'm thinking it must be Kay. Line 2700.
Lori knows all about that, don't she?
Excuse me. From Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. It will be interesting if it got changed after he had 2 bullets in his chest.
And continuing on this line of summary.
Line 2699 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. I don't think it could have. You can't change it after the death date. They would review that. Line 2698 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. Yes, I'm thinking Kay as well. She is probably freaking out that you got those computers. I'm going to shower and give you a blessing. I'm eager to get home so we can talk. It really will be okay, my love. You are wonderful. Line 2687 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. So I talked to the insurance company. He changed it in March. So it was probably Ned before we got rid of him. They can't tell me to who, of course, but it's done. I'll still get the $4,000 a month from SS.
Yeah,
Line
that's pretty
2683
okay.
from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. When you get out of the temple, please text this phone. I'm home alone until about 3:30 your time. I love you so much.
Now, you indicated that you included this in your summary.
Wow, Jen. Already.
Right. Already. Okay. First of all, let's start with, of course, Lori knows all about the insurance and how that works. And Chad's over here like, maybe it was forged. What an idiot.
No.
Okay. Chad, you're not the brightest bulb. And I have to remind you that the closet portal is closed to you since you decided. Let me tell y'all what happened. So I went out, I told y'all about the toad, right? Okay. Well, the toad now has a freaking friend, a smaller toad, and they bury themselves in the sand in the backyard. And I found one of their little holes, and it's like right by my smoking chair. I don't appreciate it. I've told you, Chad, you're not welcome here. You or your friend.
Oh my.
Also, what a dick. How are you going to text her and say, I wonder if he changed it after he had 2 holes in his chest or shot twice in the chest, however he put it. It was rude and gross.
Yep, it was.
Like,
And yeah, it's just like you said, of course she knows all about it. Sorry, I was killing a bug. But yeah, of course she knows all about how to do all the insurance stuff. She's been down this road before. We know that.
exactly. Exactly. But like she doesn't even skip a beat because that if there was a text in between that where she was like, Chad, she wouldn't cuss. So throw it off or whatever, or I can't believe you said that or something to that effect, then it would be, they would, the defense would be like, there's they would say something about it,
Yep. Yep.
but they don't. So
It's all,
here we go.
yeah, this is very, it's weird to like hear them talk to each other and just to think back to that time. I don't know. It's kind of surreal,
Exactly. And that's why I want to go back to like the beginning and put it into context with the trial. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think that'll make sense.
Ew. God almighty.
I can't with that. My God. Yeah, here comes the storm. Ugh. All right, here we go. So gross.
Of the text because it discussed potential financial motive for various crimes.
Correct.
Okay, let's go back and look at this sort of beginning of this text communication. And why did you talk about getting the letter or include getting the letter from the insurance company saying that Lori was not the beneficiary? Why did you include that text?
I included that because
Lori's a bitch and
was
she was
apparent
pissed.
that Lori Vallow was surprised to find out that the beneficiary had been changed.
Of course she was.
Was there, turning to the next slide, was there anything significant to you about it is probably another step in bringing down the Gladiatans, especially Brandon?
I don't think that's how you say that.
All the iCloud records in context of the entire
I think it's
investigation that you were
gladiations.
part of. Did you understand what that meant?
Yes.
What did that mean?
Gadiantans is another reference to the Book of Mormon. The Gadiantans were a secret society, a group of robbers,
Gadians,
evil
I
people.
think.
So when the phrase Gadiantan is used, it's simply identifying someone as being
That doesn't
evil
sound
in
right.
this case, or also in this case, Brandon Boudreau.
We just call them
why
assholes.
Why would the inclusion of
okay.
Brandon Boudreau in a conversation about Charles Vallow's life insurance money have any significance to you
sound like
in the
a real word to
investigation?
me
I would object as it misstates
that
the
I'd
evidence
ever
that's
heard
actually been
before, but
presented.
I don't know. I'm not.
Yeah,
Not
I
Mr.
don't think
Brandon
that's
Boudreau.
how you.
Sustain the objection.
Okay. Why would the reference to Brandon in the text at line 2702 have any significance to you as it's inserted in a text conversation about Charles Vallow's life insurance?
That particular line in and of itself isn't terribly significant, other than we know from the investigation that that marriage was also in a tumultuous time, but it was a text in a series of text strings one following the other. So I included it in amongst this series.
Before I forget, though, okay, this is actually his second day on the stand. I have intentionally left out the first day. The first day also had some very interesting kernels of truth, but this is between Chad and Lori, and I wanted to keep this separate from the first day because the first day is gonna it is important information. But remember the friend that Lori threatened? There's some interesting text exchanges between Lori and that friend, and I want to go back and put those two pieces together, hear them both together, because her testimony after first she testifies, right, and then you hear and then these texts are read, and it's quite different. So I wanted just to you know
Yeah, like a
put
whole
that
show on
together.
her or something like that. That'd be
Exactly. Exactly.
sounds like a plan, Jan.
Do you see
Okay.
this?
I do.
Okay. What, if any, significance to the investigation and/or investigators' follow-up did this
Hi,
text
Violet.
communication
Hello, everybody.
have?
Suzanne,
This
Susanna,
short series of
Joan,
texts
Heather, whatever.
between
I
Lori
don't
Vallow and Chad
see
Daybell is
miss
critically
anybody.
important
See Heather,
because
whatever.
it is the first
Maria,
overt
butterfly
communication between
kisses.
them referencing
Tony,
the
good to
pending
see
deaths of JJ and
everybody.
Tylee.
Can you read to us the text communications we're seeing on slides 20?
Yes. Line 2667.
I
have been
wish I could
instructed,
see Lori's
excuse me,
face during
from
this.
Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. I have been instructed to focus my efforts on Hillary, so I will. Line 2665 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. Okay, find out her percentage for me and JJ's. Line 2660 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. She is at 0.13. I turned up the pain to 10 and placed a spiritual virus in her. He is at 99.99. Raphael visited him and told him to follow Amy into the light. I also assured him that James would love and take care of his mommy, which he will.
They're
with all
talking
of his
about
heart and soul.
JJ
Line
and Tammy
2658 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. That is sweet. I miss you desperately.
and their death
In
percentage.
your review of the and the audio, what significance, if any, did the "I have been instructed to focus my efforts on Hillary" have in context of the
JJ.
investigation?
Hang on,
Hillary is the
I'm gonna
name
pause
of
it.
the entity that allegedly possessed or inhibited Tylee Ryan's body.
Oh, Tylee, that's right. Tylee was Hillary. So this is where they're talking about, and this is going to go on for quite a few more minutes, you guys, about this back and forth between Chad and Lori, really about Tylee and JJ. So yeah. What were you
Okay.
going to ask, Allie?
That was all. I just wanted to get like a clear idea of what exactly who they were talking about because I didn't hear. I only heard JJ, and then
Yes.
and so Tylee's death percentage was 0.01 and JJ's was 99.9.
Yeah.
9?
So, yes. Okay. So, the way that the death percentage works is it's essentially a countdown backwards. Okay. So, as you can see, Tylee, and this is why she was unalived first. Because as her clock started to go down, it starts at 100 and it goes down to 0. Once it hits 0, that's when they have to be done away with.
Okay.
So, as you
Wow.
can see, Tylee's is at 0 and JJ's has only gone down 0.1%, okay? But
Yeah.
that's basically it took me a while to figure this out, but after listening to it 87 times, I don't know why I fell asleep like I did because I was really intently listening. And then before I knew it, I was like, oh, hell, I'm
I did
asleep,
that.
you know?
when y'all were wondering where I was at during my live, I was intently watching about, out in Henrietta, Oklahoma. And I was like watching and saving videos that I wanted to make sure people saw later, and then just out till 11.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, bless your heart, but you were tired. And I'll say this too. There's a lot of different names that are coming in and out of here, but Hillary is the name for the evil spirit that inhabited Tylee's body. And I think when they're talking about Raphael, because I don't think they make it clear, but I think they're talking about Raphael the archangel, or as Leticia says, archangel. And that there's a lot of conversation between Chad and Lori that JJ is being visited. So we'll keep listening.
Okay.
And so if you saw references to Hillary, based on the context of the iCloud, that was talking about the spirit in Tylee Lyon's body.
Correct.
Hey, Punksy.
Now, in there's a communication where Lori Vallow is asking Chad to find out her percentages for me and JJ. What did that mean in context of your review of the iCloud?
The reference to the word percentage is a reference to death percentage, meaning the timing or pending death of the individual.
And so there seems to be a response from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow about a number, that percentage and timing of impending death. Is that what we see in line 2660?
Correct. You see two different numbers.
Okay, what are those? If you could explain those to us.
Jeff, this is going to call for some people to speculate as to what these numbers are. I don't think there's any real proof, and I don't think there's been any testimony as to what these numbers are.
Sustained.
Were you familiar, and did you read almost the entire iCloud?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see any information that would lead you to understand what those percentages mean?
Yes.
What information was contained in the documents, which were the words, right? What information did you learn in the iCloud that would lead you to understand what those numbers meant in context of the defendant's statements and those statements of her co-conspirators?
There are three total conversations of text regarding the death percentage for J.
Now, this is important, you guys. He's going to break it down, but also, do you see how the defense is objecting? And they're going to do this quite frequently, and they're going to say that it's all speculation, blah, 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 right? But you see how good Miss Blake is at adjusting, doesn't argue back, just adjusts the way that she asks the question, lays more foundation, and this is how it's all going to end up coming in. Okay, here we go.
And Tammy Dave. This one, there's another that occurs on July 3rd.
Oh. Crap, I pushed the wrong button. Sorry, you guys. I meant to just push pause. I meant to push play and get off of there and then mute, and then I pushed the wrong thing. My bad.
It's all good.
Oh God, now we have to get through it again.
2019, had Lori Vallow yet started to receive Social Security from JJ or for JJ from Charles?
Daybell back to crying and saying goodbye.
Hold on.
Conversations about death percentages. And
there we go.
Could you explain to us how it is you conclude what that means in context of the defendant's own words and the statements of our co-conspirators?
Well, the closer an individual was to zero in some instances, or in this instance with JJ, 100, the closer they were to their death.
And what information did Chad Daybell provide to Lori Vallow about a number associated with Tylee?
He indicates that she is at 0.13.
Hey, Angela, good to see you.
And what number did Chad Daybell provide about JJ's death percentage?
99.99.
Did you see references throughout the iCloud in the defendant's own words and the statements of her co-conspirators to lead you to understand who Raphael was?
Yes, Raphael is one of the other two names that was used by Chad Daybell.
Names associated with himself?
Yes.
Okay. What was the other name again?
James.
Okay. And is that the reference to the
Of
individual
course.
later in that same section?
Yes.
That makes sense.
Now, in response to this death percentage.
So let me just point that out. Okay, apparently Chad was James, Raphael, and like 11 other people. I can't remember who all in a former life.
For Tylee and the death percentage to JJ, what was the defense response?
That is sweet. I miss you desperately.
Turning to text communications reflected later in the iCloud, was there additional communication between Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow on July 18th after the conversation about the death percentage for JJ and Tylee?
Yes.
Could you please, are those reflected in slide 21?
Party
Yes.
cake.
Could you read those into the record, please?
Hold on.
Line 26.
So, okay, this is where it's kind of a little bit confusing. Lori actually does not have to put on a defense. The truth of the way that the U.S. justice system works is that the burden of proof is on the state, and it's all on them. And the defense doesn't actually have to put on any evidence. What they can do, which is what they chose to do in this situation, is to chip away at the testimony, call everything into question, and all they got to do is put reasonable doubt in one juror's mind. Do I think they did it? Hell no. But that's I don't know when Chad's I don't know when Chad's I don't know when his court date is. We can't understand you, Allie. I don't even know if you mean to be unmuted.
No,
656 from
yes,
Chad
I was.
Daybell to Lori Vallow.
Sorry, I was.
You are so adorable, beautiful, wonderful, heavenly, luscious, and angelic. So many divine attributes rolled into one dynamic, desirable package. I want you even more desperately than you want me. Line 2622 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. Just grab me by the storm and I will follow you to the ends of the universe.
Here we go.
Line 2608 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. When might that be? Line 2607 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. Wednesday evening.
Thank you,
and then
Ruby.
repeatedly and gloriously until Friday.
And that communication continues, correct?
Next slide as well, yes.
Could you read those into the record, please?
Line 2605 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. And then what? Line 2604 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. Back to crying and saying goodbye, back to the box. Line 2603 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. This trip to Utah had a lot of finality to it. I was told extreme changes are coming for me and to Utah. I welcome them both.
Now, in the text communication that's
Mhm.
displayed to us on slides 21 and 22, why did you include this part of that communication in your summary for presentation in court?
Mainly for two reasons. One, it substantiates the affair that was being had between Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow, and it references a trip that Chad Daybell was planning to take to visit Lori Vallow the next week. So this text is on July 18th, 2019. Chad Daybell's travel to visit Lori Vallow in Arizona took place July 24th through July 26th, 2019, which is a Wednesday through Friday. So if you look at line 2607, it states Wednesday evening until Friday.
Are you aware of what some of the phrase "grab me by the storm" and
Oh my God, why are you making him do this?
Objection calls for speculation.
Overruled.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm aware.
What did that mean?
The word storm is the name they had given to Chad Daybell's penis.
And so this was in anticipation of getting together with each other for
I feel
sexual
like we
purposes.
should send this guy a fruit
And at this
basket
time,
for an
Chad Daybell,
edible
was he still married
arrangement,
to Tammy?
something for
Yes.
this.
How far from Charles Vallow's death was that?
I'm aware.
This is 7 days.
I'm aware. That's how I feel like I would say it. And I can't remember where it is in this testimony, but what I found interesting is, when do y'all think that Chad and Lori actually met for the first time? in any regard?
2018 -ish?
What month?
I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head. That's just a guess. Anyway, I don't know for sure. I'm just guessing
It
based
was
on
it was
stories.
2018. It was 2018. But you know how Melanie thought that she introduced Chad to Lori for the first time?
Mm-hmm.
She didn't. That was just the first time they met in person.
Okay. What did they have? They talked online or something?
I can't remember where it is in this, and I don't want to say. No,
Well, that's okay.
Alice is
We'll just get there
out.
then.
No, I can't remember. So it's somewhere in here.
Okay. Well,
Well,
good.
these texts that they're referencing now, A for Adventure, are like 10 days after Charles's death.
Hey, Seth. Good night.
Good night, Seth. All right, here we go.
After Charles Vallow's death.
7 days. My bad.
And at the end
Like
of the communication,
Letitia,
there's some lines
7
about, and then what,
days.
back to crying and saying goodbye. Do you see those on slide 22?
I do.
What, if any, significance in terms of your review of the entire iCloud did that part of the conversation have to the investigation?
It's a reference to their relationship and the fact that it is now one-sided due to Lori Vallow being no longer married.
And what about the trip to Utah? What, if any, significance did that have in context of the other interviews and evidence that had been reviewed?
I don't particularly think the trip to Utah has a lot of significance. It's just one of the texts that concluded this string.
Okay. And the statement, I was told extreme changes are coming for me and Utah? Was that from Chad Daybell?
That's a reference from Chad Daybell regarding changes that he's anticipating.
Now, you've included on slides 23 a series of text communications starting in the Lally Time account at line 2487 from July 20th, 2019. Do you see those?
I do.
Okay. Why did you include these text communications?
These are relevant because they demonstrate some of the religious concepts that were at play in this investigation, particularly as it relates to children being designated as being possessed or inhibited by demons. In this case, they're talking about Melanie Boudreau's children.
Blake, was that one of Melanie Boudreau's children?
That's her son.
All right, now
Oh,
this is
wow.
very, yes, this is very, very important. And you guys, it's kind of complicated, so I'm not going to talk at all through it because I want us to hear it, and we might have to hear it like twice. So yeah, so it's kind of complicated, but we're gonna listen to the whole text string and then talk about it because it's quite interesting, Melanie BP.
If you could please read these text SMS messages from Lally Time into the record.
Yes. Line 2487 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. What's Blake's percentage? Line 2486 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. He drew 3 crosses on the wall in his bedroom. We just finished painting over them. Line 2485 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell, like he was marking it for the dark side to find him. Line 2482 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. Blake is at 7. Sigh, S-I. I took my sword of light and sliced his aura vertically in several places. You should be able to now rip and burn it. Line 2481 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. I also decreased his pain tolerance to 1% and greatly increased his pain. His desire to depart is at 80%.
I understand you explained you included this to show a conversation about the darkness of children. Did this text communication have any more significance to you?
I think that it is fairly self-explanatory.
Okay. Moving to the next text communication on the next day that you pulled and included on slide 24. Can you tell us why you included this series of text or SMS messages from Lally Time in your summary?
Yes, this is a short text string that is a follow-up in reference to the life insurance beneficiary change, where Lori Vallow is communicating to Chad Daybell that she now knows who the beneficiary of that policy is.
I have to say I'm a little annoyed that they kind of jump around a little bit, but he did pull it off of 2 different iClouds, so I'm gonna cut him some slack. But they're talking about Melanie's kids. Keep in mind what was said in this text string, because there's gonna be more. This is gonna come up again. Okay, and all the things that Lori is talking about doing are not they're not she didn't physically do any of this stuff, right? This is like, I guess the right word for it would be something akin to like astral projecting. Okay? But yeah, this is what they spend their time texting about.
Can you read that into this text exchange on slide 24 into the record, please?
Yes. Line 2438 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. Found it. Ned gave all of it to Rhonda 2/26/19. Line 2432 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. Glad you found that out. Line 2430 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. It fits. Now she will try to take him. THX for working on her. Work on me too. Reading all this stuff makes me sick. Line 2423 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. We will work hard on Rhonda when we are together. I will get her numbers as low as I can by Wednesday. Line 2419 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. Good, let's work on it hard.
Now, you indicated it was information about the life insurance account, but in your review of multiple communications of Lori Vallow and multiple communications of Charles Vallow, was there a common association with the name Rhonda?
Yes.
What was that?
Rhonda is the name of the entity or dark spirit that supposedly inhibited Kay Woodcock.
And so reference in here about Ned, that we've heard that before, that was?
Ned, the reference to Ned is
Hey,
Charles Vallow.
Princess making
And the reference to
Alessandri.
Rhonda was?
Kay Woodcock.
Okay.
And
And so it's an
Terry.
indication that Charles Vallow gave the insurance money to Kay
And
Woodcock.
C-Star.
Exactly.
And the date that Lori Vallow found out it happened.
No, the date is indicative of the date that Charles Vallow changed the beneficiary of his policy.
Now, is there anything else of significance you wanted to review as to slide 24?
No.
Okay. Turning to the next conversation, I see a reference to James and Elena again. And I recognize you talked about this a bit on Friday, but since there's been a bit of a break, who were James and Elena again?
James and Elena are alternative names, James being Chad Daybell and Elena being Lori Vallow. The James and Elena story, which is contained in its entirety in the iCloud accounts, is partly historical, accurate information.
Oh, okay, Ruby. Hang on, I get it for you, babe. Thank
Daybell
you,
and Lori
sweetie. You
Vallow,
don't have
and
to
it's
give
partly
me
fantasy.
a super chat.
So
I'm watching
when
the
you
chat,
say the
but
James
thank
and Elena
you.
story, is it just, 1 or 2 emails? Was it easy to put that story together?
Well, it wasn't difficult to put it together, but it's several segments written over time by Chad Daybell.
Thank God
and then
Brandon
sent
intervened,
to Lori Vallow.
honestly.
And so when you say several segments, there would be a text message one day, an email another, an MMS another.
I have to stop. I have to tell you guys this. I have to talk about this or it's just going to freaking drive me nuts. Hey, Meep. I don't understand how Ian is still with Melanie BP. I don't understand how he thinks that she is a victim in all of this, because to be quite honest with you guys, hey Sherry, to me what it appears like is she was a party to this. She was a participant. She was integral to it. And I don't think that she was taken advantage of. And I have to be honest, I find it quite interesting that she wasn't allowed to testify. And the reason she wasn't allowed to testify is because she read she listened to Brandon's testimony. There is an order. There's been an order that if you have a subpoena, you're not to listen to any of the testimony at the court, right, of the trial, okay, which obviously the audio comes out the next day. Sometimes if you're savvy on YouTube, you know where to get it that same day, right? And nor are you to read anything about any of the testimony. And she did. And how she is not held in contempt, I do not know. And
See,
I think she did it purposely.
I'm
What, babe?
torn. I'm torn. I think I agree with you. I think she was a part of it, integral and everything. But part of me, because Ian says that she was scared to death and truly believed some of this. And the only reason that I start to wonder what if she did is because Lori was like a mom to her. When her mom passed away, she was very close to Lori, looked up to her a lot. And you see Lori, she's full on, I don't know. So it makes me wonder, what if Melanie truly believed Lori was being truthful with her? Because when you read, like once Ian spoke to Melanie and, and everything, then I think like when reading his story, to me, what I take from it is that like he had to convince her that it wasn't true, basically.
No,
And now,
I mean, I agree. I think that Melanie did believe. I think Melanie still does believe. And I think that Melanie should be held accountable for that.
yeah, I do too, because she knew what was going on with those kids and with
Correct.
everything. Yeah, she went on the news
Correct.
and pretended like she didn't have a clue where the kids are, but yeah,
That's
so
my
I agree with you.
problem.
She should be held
That's my
accountable.
problem. I think she believed. I think she still believes. And I think she should be held accountable because each and every person, if they didn't know what Lori and Chad meant by zombies
Mhm.
after the death of Charles, they
Yeah,
should have it should have been it should have been an issue, right?
absolutely.
It should have woke them up, right?
And
If
especially when both the kids went missing. Come on now. You
correct,
don't go on the news and say, oh no, Lori's a great mom. And I'm sure the kids are safe somewhere and she's got a reason for everything she's doing. She may have been a great
exactly,
mom by all accounts. She was at one point, but then she wasn't.
exactly, exactly. And this is my thing. When I listen to Alex read our Allie read that statement that Ian wrote. And I listened to his testimony, and believe me, we're going to cover it. Even if I have to do it by myself, I will do it. But it will be, I'm going to talk about it because I was enraged. I listened to his testimony and I put his testimony with that statement that he gave. And at the very, very end, it was very, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, it was telling because his beef was with law enforcement. And I got to tell you guys, I don't think that he was doing any of this for the good of everybody else. What I think it was, is I think he was going to use those recordings as leverage. I think he was going to use those recordings of Chad, Melanie, and Lori as leverage to get himself and Melanie out of trouble. Period. That's
The
what I
same way
think.
Melanie did it. Yep, exactly. I think you're right
Exactly.
there. The same way Melanie did. And I'll definitely talk about it with you anytime because I am so interested in Melanie P, her role, the fact she didn't get in trouble, now the fact she didn't have to testify. And I think it's because there's so much we don't know and we haven't seen, but we've seen, her interviews and now this, but we don't know a ton about her. And I'm very, it's crazy, but yeah, I'm definitely interested in it because it needs to be talked
Exactly.
about.
And there was a thing, okay, so yesterday, ATS News, I'm echoing, babe. You got YouTube playing? Oh, thank you, babe.
Was it
AT
was it my mic? I don't
I
know.
think it
I'm
might
just
have
on
been.
regular headphones, but
It
nothing's
might have
playing.
been.
I'm gonna mute anyways because I'm outside.
Okay. Um, ATS News had a live yesterday morning that you guys should all go back. I would encourage you to watch. And in that live, she put together a lot of like interviews and videos. And there's an interview that I call her Melanie BP because it started out Boudreau and now it's Pulowski. So that's why I call her Melanie BP. And Ian did. Okay. I think it was Dateline. And sometimes I like to watch interviews with the sound down because I don't want to hear what they're saying. I like to see what they're doing. And then then I'll rewind it and listen to it back with the sound. But there is a part in that interview, and Amber caught it, where Ian is talking and Melanie is looking at him. And the look on her face is not the look that you would give somebody. To me, this is just my opinion, okay? She's not looking at him like you would look at somebody who just rescued you from an incredibly dangerous situation, right? Like he pulled her directly out of that fire and out of that pan, right? So that's not the look she's giving him. And if I didn't think that I would get a copyright claim, I would play that video. And plus I got to find it. I think if I clip it just enough, hey Jen, I think if I clip it just enough, I should be able to get it under fair use without worrying about a copyright claim. But we are going to break that Dateline interview down as well because these people have me side-eyeing so bad. How is
And they
everybody?
went on East Idaho. They went on East Idaho. They did like 2 or 3 when they went, because that's what I was telling Amber. They did interviews with several places, like all at the same time. I remember East Idaho did one too. I'm pretty sure. Maybe you could do that one too.
Yeah.
Not
We'll
worry as
pull
much
together
about the
what we
copyright.
can pull together. She might
Oh,
be.
Jen!
Hey guys,
Hi. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm kind of waiting for my dog to poop out an earbud so I can stop looking for it.
Oh dear.
No.
Oh dear. It's that kind of day, is it?
It's one of those.
Look at Allie's picture, her avatar. Look at while we listen to these texts.
These texts are pretty. That
Oh, you missed the storm, Jen. You missed the storm.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Have you heard about that?
No.
Yeah, the storm is the euphemism, the nickname that Chad and Lori gave to Chad's penis.
Oh wow, because loin fire wasn't enough.
Correct. You needed to go the extra mile and get storm in there.
Wow.
Every time I hear it, though, I think of because they all have their special powers, like some bootleg version of the X-Men. And now that he says Storm, now I'm thinking of Halle Berry, Storm. Hello, and I'm just so now I mean, I love Halle Berry, and he's ruined the X-Men for me now. Like, thanks, Chad. Thanks,
Wow.
Lori. Yeah. So we're just about to get in the story, the little ditty about James and Elaine. Here we go.
Oh boy.
Crossed iCloud account.
Yes. All right. I'm going to go
just
have a
X the
cigarette.
emails,
Let's listen to this part.
but yes, it
and
was
then
spread
we'll
out over
talk.
time.
Okay.
Okay.
And understanding that you were one of the supervisory investigators on this, did you task members of the FBI to help comb through the iCloud and find the parts of the James and Elena story?
Yes, I saw all of the James and Elena story in my review of the iCloud accounts, but in order to corroborate portions of that story, I assigned an analyst to accumulate the entire story and then go through to find corroborative data or evidence to indicate the accuracy of the story.
So in order for someone to see the entirety of the James and Elena story, they either have to be able to hop around the iCloud.
Correct.
Or they have to have somebody kind of take it from here and take it from this date and sort of put it together.
Yes.
Now, and forgive me, I just want to make sure I understand. I know a long time ago in the public, stories would appear kind of in periodicals. There'd be a segment in the paper one week, right? and then a segment in the paper the next, and over time you heard the whole
I don't
story.
object. This seems to be a narrative from the.
I'm just laying
state's
a foundation,
prosecutor, and
Judge.
she's not-
Yes.
I'm not done objecting here. And it doesn't seem like there's a question, Judge.
And I'll sustain that it's an improper question at this point, Ms. Smith.
Understood, Your Honor. May I approach the bench, not on that issue, but I want clarification on some procedures the court outlined
Yes.
on Friday? Thank you.
All right, Ms. Smith, you can ask another question.
Thank you. Agent, have you seen situations where stories are pieced out in a periodical over time?
Yes.
Okay. Is that similar to how the James and Elena story evolved?
Yes, over a fairly abbreviated period of time.
Okay. So there's no one text that any one person could go to that would give them the James and Elena story?
Correct.
Okay. And so in order to compile that, that would have to be like a summary of the James and Elena story?
Yes.
Okay. Now, turning to this text, could you please read the contents of slide 25 into the record?
Yes, line 2397, text from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. James and Elena had agreed to visit the temple the following morning. She returned to the hotel room, and after additional romance on the couch, they calmed their nerves enough to give each other a blessing. As James placed his hands on her head, he connected with Elena's true, eternal self. He knew he was in the presence of an exalted goddess who had returned to Earth to perform a special mission. This mission included being with him, and they would progress together as translated beings. The full plan wasn't yet completely clear to him, but the immense power radiating from her confirmed his belief that she was among the greatest women in the universe.
And the communication it goes on to the next slide, correct?
Yes.
Could you please read slide 26 into the record?
Line 2395, from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. They embraced following the blessings, and the emotions they felt were a mixture of eternal bliss and celestial desire. The sexual chemistry was undeniable, but the spiritual unity was a glorious bonus for both of them. They had only known each other for 3 weeks, but two lonely, misunderstood souls had finally found their best friend that they could trust and confide in. Line 2394, from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. She loves it.
And it appears there's one more portion of that.
Correct.
Can you read us slide 27, please?
Line 2390, from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. They arrived at the temple, and they both felt they should do sealings together. They were soon seated in a sealing room facing each other. Elena looked so stunning as she smiled at him. She seemed calm, while he felt quite nervous. Their opportunity soon came to kneel across the altar from each other, and as the sealer pronounced those sacred words, James and Elena knew that they were now sealed as husband and wife for eternity. As the earthly sealing was taking place, a similar scene involving their spirits was happening on a higher plane, where they kissed and unified their souls. They knew they had just begun a new journey together that was eternal and never-ending.
We'll go back to each portion of that, but is this the entire James and Elena story?
No.
Okay. It's just a couple sections that occurred on July 21st of 2019.
Correct.
Because your summary of the iCloud was chronological?
Yes.
All right. So let's step back and look at slide 25. Why did you choose to include this part of the James and Elena story in your summary?
I included this slide because of the reference to the full plan not being completely clear to him.
Why would that be relevant to the investigators in the investigation?
The fact that a plan existed is relevant to the investigation and to the subsequent actions that took place over the course of time.
Anything else that, other than that there's discussion of what the plan was, and did you believe that to be a reference to a plan for what?
A plan on how they would progress together.
Was there anything else significant about this particular text?
The only other thing I would add is that this mission included being with him.
And in terms of the portion of the James and Elena story that is reflected in line 2395, why did you include this portion?
This I included for the reference that two lonely, misunderstood souls had finally found their best friend that they could trust and confide in, as a reference to their blossoming relationship.
Now, when you say a reference to their blossoming relationship, I thought they had met in November of 2018.
No, they met in October 26th through the 28th of 2018 at a conference in St. George, Utah. The second time that they met in person was in mid-November at a conference in Arizona.
And so if they had met in October and then again in November of 2018, why do you say blossoming relationship that's as reflected in a text from July of 2019?
Because the James and Elena story is the history of their relationship. So he is talking about their second meeting where they had decided to attend the temple and do a sealing ceremony.
Okay. And did you see a response from Lori Vallow in response to receiving the James and Elena story?
That she loved it.
And at this point, how long has Charles Vallow been dead?
10 days.
Was Tammy Daybell still alive?
Correct.
Moving to the next part of that James and Elena conversation, you referenced the temple, and the text appears to reference the temple. Did the investigators follow up to obtain temple records?
Yes.
And were those temple records analyzed?
Yes.
What information of relevance to the investigation was obtained in the temple records?
Those records show that Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow attended the Gilbert, Arizona temple together on November 16th of 2019.
Would that have been
2018? I'm sorry.
Okay, did y'all catch that? That's what I was trying to tell y'all about. Is that they had met before we all thought they met.
What did they say the day? Because I missed the date. Besides 2018.
The first time was in October.
Okay.
In Arizona. Wait, I might have that flipped. The first time was in Utah, and the second time was in Arizona.
Right. But it sounded like it was about 3 weeks later.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
But Melanie, didn't Melanie go with her to the Arizona one and introduce? That must be, because it has to be. Otherwise, why would the prosecution say, I thought they met in November?
Well, maybe they saw each other and, had the loin fire or whatever. And then maybe they were introduced in November. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
See,
And
I
plus,
feel
I knew there was a big online community. Like, they were doing the podcast. Lori was a fan of Chad. She was reading his books and things like that. So is it possible that that's why there's
That's
some
what I
confusion?
think happened. I think that they communicated, and prior to when Melanie Gibb, quote unquote, introduced them.
Right.
And then they met in person for the first time in October, and then again in November, because here they are meeting which would be what everybody thinks would be the first time, and they're already getting sealed. Like, that's a big deal.
Right.
To the Mormon
Yeah.
faith.
Yep, it is a huge deal.
Because
right?
you're not, it's an eternal seal. You're sealed in this life and your eternal life. So after you die. Yeah, it's a big deal. Huge. And then they've got some kind of romance on the couch at the temple. That doesn't seem appropriate at all. I mean, aside from the fact that they're both married, okay? Because this is before Charles has passed away, and Tammy is also very much alive. And yet they're making out on the damn couch in the temple. I mean, listen, I'm a whole heathen, but even I know that ain't cool. I'm pretty sure that is sacrilegious on some level. Like, I would never go into the Catholic Church with my husband and be like, "Hey, you want to make out in the pew?" Are you kidding me? There's Jesus up at the front staring down at you from the cross. That's not intimidating. Then you got, I don't know if anybody's ever been into like a really old school, old Catholic church, but they have the one that I'm talking about is the one I went to when I was a kid in Tucson, Santa Cruz. And it's first of all, the pews are wood. And there's a lot of kneeling you got to do. And I don't know what those things are called that fold down that you have to, I just call them the kneeling things, but they're not padded. So when you're kneeling, you're on wood. You're sitting on wood, then you're kneeling on wood. Then you're sitting, then you're kneeling, then you're standing. Then it's a big deal. And then there's all kinds of stained glass everywhere, and it's all kinds of angels and depictions from the Bible and stuff like that. That's not a place to go to make out. I'm sorry. I just don't. I don't know. Even my heathen ass wouldn't do some shit like that. All right, here we go.
2018. Okay. And would that have been that second meeting you referenced?
Yes.
Okay.
Objection, this is speculative, Judge. Move a strike.
Overruled.
Is there anything else of relevance to this segment of
Not
this
yet.
one
I've
text
learned a lot. He
that's a
wasn't
part of the James and Elena
excommunicated
story?
in 2018.
Yes, according to the story, that in attending the temple on that date, James and Elena knew they were now sealed together as husband and wife, showing that they believed they were married.
And
Oh, were you,
the
Crystal?
temple records that you reflected that both Chad Daybell and Lori
Yeah, that's the church my family belonged to. My dad went to the Catholic school.
Vallow had been at the temple in Gilbert, Arizona in November of 2018,
November 16th.
at or near the same time.
Yes.
Now, did you see, as reflected in slide 28, did you see any additional response of Lori Vallow about receiving this chronicle story of James and Elena?
Yes.
Is that what's reflected, or part of it reflected in slide 28?
Correct.
Can you please read that into the record?
Line 2388 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. It's making me so happy to read about our life that I am finally going to dance, missing you and loving you from afar. Line 2374 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. It was great. I feel free again. I love you more than ever and can't wait to be with you forever. I'm begging Father and Mother. That's my job tonight. Line 2373 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. I will be right beside you, begging just as much. I need you desperately.
Why did you include this part of the communication from the iCloud in your
Hey,
summary?
Cement Shoes, good to see
I believe it was
you.
relevant to show Lori Vallow's response to the segments of the James and Elena story.
Now, turning to communications on July 22nd of 2019, why did you include this series of communications from Raleigh Time in your summary?
Crystal, I'm old. My dad's older than me, and he was like a kid when he went to that church. So I know that church is old. It's a beautiful church. It's where my nana and my tata's funerals were, at that church.
Included these communications because it contains a clear reference to the plans that Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow had to be together and disclose the location where they intended to live as part of their plan.
Could you read to us in the record?
Also, I don't understand this comment about dancing. What is this? Some bootleg Footloose? Like she couldn't dance before? It was outlawed?
From Chad Daybell
So lame.
to Lori Vallow. Love you. Going with Garth in an hour to see Other Side of Heaven 2. Missing you desperately, but so excited to be with you. Line 2349 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. I love you. You will enjoy the scenery. Looks like Kauai a lot. Line 2346 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. Hopefully we will be there someday soon together. Line 2345 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. That is the plan. Line 2344 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. And my greatest desire. Line 2334 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. Hi, darling. Back from the movie. We enjoyed it. I look forward to being on a tropical island with you.
So what significance did the reference to Kauai have to you in your review of the iCloud in context of the evidence that had been accumulated?
You didn't know that, Parker?
In the totality of the case, for the entire time span of the case, it's relevant because Kauai is the island where Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow traveled to be married. And that is the island where they were found after the children were known to be missing. And ultimately, that's where Lori Vallow was arrested on some charges.
Okay. And so, but they were in Kauai.
Hey,
when?
Carol Claus.
They were married in Kauai on November 5th of 2019. And after being contacted by the Rexburg Police Department for a welfare check on JJ, they traveled the very next day to Kauai.
But this text communication referencing a future together in Kauai was in July of 2019.
Correct.
Again, Tammy Daybell was still alive.
Yes.
Is there anything else of significance on this particular slide?
No.
Moving to slide 30, what, if any, significance did this text communication have to you?
This series of texts is significant in that it is
I don't think she did either,
that,
Missy.
of their belief that Tylee is possessed by some sort of entity. And Lori Vallow is asking Chad Daybell to check on Tylee to see if that entity has been switched from her body.
In line 2276, was there also a reference to JJ?
Yes.
And that was in a text communication initiated by Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell, correct?
Yes.
And then line 2244 is a text communication from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell wanting Chad to check on Tylee.
Correct.
Okay. And then 2243, again, was a text from Lori Vallow initiating to see if Tylee was switched.
Yes.
And so when switched, just so that we're clear, in context of the defendant's communications, how did the defendant's communications use the word switched?
That was used to indicate one evil entity leaving the body to potentially be possessed by another.
And this is a text communication initiated by Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell.
Yes.
So I guess basically they can cast
Anything
the
else
evil.
of significance in this
Hold on,
text?
I don't want to talk over
Do I
you,
need to read it
Miss
in the record?
Blake. Basically, what the deal is that once Chad and Lori decided that you were an obstacle, it doesn't matter how many castings were done because they could get rid of one dark spirit and then another one just would inhabit your body, and it was just cyclical. And then, this is all justification for them to murder people. They're disgusting.
Thank you. I apologize for that. Yes, please.
Line 2276 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. Good morning. Missing you. Didn't sleep much. Need you to check JJ. Weird stuff happened in the middle of the night. It's like they distracted us with Blake. Line 2244 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. When you get home, check Tylee. She is being super sweet and helpful, and she cleaned her room. She got switched. Totally not her. Line 2243 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. See if she got switched. Line 2241 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. Yes, she was switched. Please let me know when you can talk and I will explain it.
Yeah, let me explain it to you. So here we have Tylee, bless her heart, being nice, being sweet, being helpful, and to Lori's mind, quote unquote, totally not her. So therefore, she must have a different, darker entity in her now. And then here comes Chad. Yep, that's exactly what happened, Lori. Oh, Chad, you're so swell. Ugh, these people make me sick.
It's
Now,
disgusting.
turning
Really.
to a conversation
Word
on
Isn't
July
it?
26, 2019.
These kids weren't ever going to be able to do anything correct. They were going to find every single reason. But this is where I say, you guys, remember at the very beginning of this, I said, I'm telling y'all, it wasn't all Chad and it wasn't all Lori. They did it. They were working together. Because here you have Lori saying what she said to Chad, right? See if she was switched. And what does Chad do? Oh, yes, 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 yes. Switch, switch, switch. She was so switched, right? But I thought Chad was prophetic and he could see things. So wouldn't you just be like, hey, Tylee cleaned the room and was listening? And then shouldn't the correct response from Chad to be like, after a few minutes, oh my, you should be very concerned. She's been switched, not for Lori. You see what I'm saying? It's all a game to them,
Yeah.
and it's disgusting. It just irks the shit out of me. which is also not being very professional right now. Sorry.
You see that reflected in slide 31.
Yes.
And that proceeds into slide 32, correct?
Yes.
Why did you include this series of text communications in your summary?
This is, again, an occasion where Lori Vallow is asking Chad Daybell to check on her children based on their behaviors.
Could you read slide 31 into the record, please?
Line 2120, text from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. How are things at home? Line 2119 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. She's fine. Need you to check JJ. She said he was calm and he watched movies all day, which he would never do. Line 2118 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. Missing you.
Thank you, Heather. I
Proceeding
think
on
they
to,
would have
the
that
text
socket.
communication on slide 32. Could you read those into the record?
In fact, I have to say, I want to hear what you guys think, though. So S. Hockett says, just makes me wonder if they wouldn't have killed them if she got the life insurance from Charles. I think she still would have, because it wasn't solely, it was a lot about the money, but even with the money, I don't think that Lori wanted the day-to-day responsibilities of being a mom,
Exactly.
particularly of a special needs child. What do you think,
Exactly.
Alex and Crime Curious?
I agree, because she actually had a lot to lose with them being gone, because she was getting $4,000 a month for JJ from Social Security for Charles. And then she was also getting money for Kylie from her dad. So, either way you look at it, she had stuff to lose and to gain. I think it was somewhat about money, but more about they can't do what they want, but we're taking care of them.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they kill Charles, they kill Tammy. And, at some point, Tylee's going to, like, come up against her mother. And Lori can't take care of JJ without Charles and Tylee. And so it's just, it's like a natural progression. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I think that they were obstacles, and that was the end of it. She actually financially lost, just like Alex pointed out. So I think it was bigger than just the money.
Yeah, and
Line
there's no way that her
2117
ego.
from Chad
Oh,
Daybell.
sorry.
No, I didn't mean to push that.
Oh no, it's just there's no way that her ego would have allowed JJ to go back to Kay, especially after the life insurance thing. But
Right.
but even without it, even if Tammy and Charles were the only ones to go, there's no way she could have her new, fantasy world with Chad, with 2 kids in the house. And
No.
there's also no way she would have given them up.
Exactly.
Because then that would make her look bad.
Exactly. And I think I think what Melanie G, when she's talking about Tylee, I think Tylee was just an average, typical teenager. It is what it is with teenagers, especially girls. Girls always push back against their moms. It's the
Right.
natural order of life. All right. But then all of a sudden, within a very, very short time, you move from Arizona to Penguin Land, Idaho, and it's freezing cold there. You have nobody, and all of a sudden, these people that were sort of in the wings at back in Arizona are now there all the time. All of a sudden, and you can't even grieve the loss of your father, which I know that too. I know he was not Tylee's biological father, but from all accounts they loved each other, and she did consider him to be her dad. And they didn't have, like, Tylee didn't have any issues with Charles, and he loved her too, and he loved JJ. And she couldn't even grieve because now we're, doing energy work and casting and all this, just I feel awful for, and I just feel like Tylee was probably being a typical teenager and just asking like, bro, what the fuck? I would be probably not those words, but that sentiment for sure. All right, let's
To Lori Vallow.
see what
In
else
scene
we
2,
got.
Told JJ, I'm told she is lying about him being calm and watching movies. Line 2101, text from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. Mel knew. She called me. She felt the real Brighton last night and knew she was different. She was told I didn't want to tell her. She is taking well and knowing it is part of a big plan. She is amazing, although I'm still pretty upset over it. I love you. Trying to hang in there, missing your kisses.
Now, between slide 31 and 32, why did you include these particular text communications in addition to checking on JJ and Tylee? Why did you include these two slides?
I included them because of the references to JJ and then the other reference to Brighton, who is another of Melanie Boudreau's children. Based on the content of that text, appears that Brighton has now been designated as being possessed by an entity.
I think, Missy, maybe Charles left it to Kay because he knew that she would disperse it, responsibly. You know what I'm saying? I don't, and I think maybe he didn't leave it to his kids because perhaps they were, although adults, you know how it is. My kids are all adults too, but when they were 18, 19, they're young adults and they weren't as responsible with money. And I would want somebody if I had life insurance, especially a large policy, I would want somebody to oversee it that I trusted for the kids so that they wouldn't run through it. Maybe that's why he did it. Here we go with the big plan. And this is why I'd be side-eyeing you, Melanie BP.
And you say Melanie Boudreau's children, was that child's father Brandon Boudreau?
Correct.
Now, it also says there's the word big plan. In context of the defendant's communications, what did big plan refer to?
It referred to those things that would take place in the future that were being planned by Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow.
Now, did you review the iCloud for discussion of a plan or future together?
Yes, there are several references which I have included in the summary presentation to plans and the future.
Hey, JT, how are
And
you?
And that use of the word plan was used by Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell.
Hang on, S. Hockett. I never can keep
No.
their names straight. Let me look it up.
Turning to communications, also on July 26, 2019, reflected in slide 33, why did you include these particular communications?
July 26, 2019 was the day that Chad Daybell flew home after having spent a few days with
Cole
Lori
and
Vallow
Zach
in Arizona.
S.
And
Hockett
this
were
is
his
the message that he
sons.
these are the messages that he sent to Lori Vallow upon his return to his home in Rexburg, Idaho.
Could you please read those into the record?
Sure. Line 2066 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. I'm home, missing you immensely and feeling very tired, but I had a splendid time with you, my love. I will text again soon. Line 2059 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. Tonight I figured out who I feel like. I'm a grown-up version of Harry Potter who has to live with the Dudleys in his little space under the stairs. Every few weeks I get to escape and have amazing adventures with my goddess lover, but then I have to return to my place under the stairs, feeling trapped. But I sense permanent freedom is coming.
I'm going to stop you right there, Chad. First of all, Dursley was their last name. That's who Harry Potter lived with, was the Dursleys. And yeah, you are built like Dudley. That's what I have to say about that.
You know how we have somebody in the chat often called Harry Potter's beard?
Yes.
All I can think of right now is, oh, forgive me, Harry Potter's boner. It won't
Oh
leave my
my.
mind.
Oh my.
I
Oh
need an
my.
eraser.
Oh my.
Aren't you glad you invited me, Jen?
I'm always glad to have you, and I'm always glad I invited you because I've been pissed off about this comment all day long about I'm a grown-up version of Harry Potter. I have to live with the Dudleys. It's the Dursleys. You can't even rip off Harry Potter correctly.
Oh,
Chad, what an insult. We all needed
yeah.
that because this is heavy as shit.
You know what I
These
keep thinking
people.
about before you started again? You know, I just wish, just like anything else, I just really wish that we could see Lori's face,
Me
like while
too.
they're reading the story about what are their names, Elena,
James and Elena, yeah.
James and Elena. You know, I'd like to see her face while they're reading those stories. You know, I
Ray,
don't know if she's like feeling pleasure or if she's feeling sadness. Like, is that going to be the only time she cries? You know, I mean, I know
you're
that she's
right.
cried, but just not enough.
What is that show on the WB with the Vampire Diaries? Isn't
Hmm.
Elena one of the characters in that? Is Chad just ripping off the WB? First Supernatural, now Elena. Oh my god, Chad. Gross.
As of July 26, 2019, Chad Daybell was still married to Tammy Daybell.
Correct.
Okay. Anything else of significance as to slide 33?
No.
Turning to communications that you included from July 27th from the Lally Time account on slides 34 and on slide 34, why did you include this text communication?
I included this because of, again, a reference to the timing of the events that took place in this case.
And when you say a reference to events that took place, what particular events took place that these would reference?
The events I'm referring to are the crimes that are alleged in this case.
And so could you read slide 34 into the record, please?
Line 2043, from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. From Mel B, from Father. My sweet daughter, you have done well. I am very pleased. You have been prepared for every moment and surrounded by those who love you. You need not fear the future happenings, for they are strategically placed out for your benefit. Be at peace and be still. Enjoy the little things. Have no fear of the unknown or of people's choices. You have overcome all. Things will be fast-paced and you are ready. I love you so much. Godspeed. Now, don't mind if I speed things up a bit. Line 2042 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. That is a very nice message Mel B received. I won't mind at all if he speeds things up a bit. Line 2038 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. Yes, I miss holding you in my arms, caressing and kissing you.
Gross.
I feel Mel's message was meant for us too. You are so wonderful.
Can you explain to us why you chose to include these texts in your summary?
There's a reference to a timing, a timeline, and speeding those things up.
And who was the reference to from Father?
That is a reference.
I'm going to object. Is this a speculative, Judge?
Sustained.
In your review of the iCloud account and the defendant's Lori Vallow's communications with Chad Daybell and others, were there references referring to one or more of the co-conspirators as dad or father?
Yes.
And in the references between Lori Vallow and her co-conspirators, who did dad or father mean?
Chad Daybell.
Is that a reference to father from Melanie Boudreau in line 2043?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, it misstates the testimony. It misstates what's actually being read here.
I'll overrule the objection.
Yeah, I like to overrule that too.
And you can delve into that on cross if you'd like, Mr. Thomas.
There you go, Mr. Thomas.
Anything else of significance on this that you want to make sure we review?
No.
Turning to the next slide, 35. I see you included a series of communications. Why did you include this section?
These texts are indicative of the relationship between Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow.
Could you please read the text that you included in to the record?
Line 1935 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. Are you mad, sad, what? Line 1934 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. I'm doing okay, just no privacy here to hardly text, and I'm missing you immensely. I feel good about the trip. Line 1933 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. I need a distraction while I'm waiting for you. I love you. Line 1932 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. Absolutely. I think you'll have a fun time.
And so you indicated that that text communication seemed to be indicative in context of your review of the entire iCloud of the relationship between Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell. How so?
At this point, we are a few weeks after Charles Vallow's death, and Lori indicates to Chad that she is waiting for him and is going to be taking a trip as a distraction while she's waiting.
And from your review of the evidence, did you see whether or not Lori took a trip?
Yes.
Where did she go?
The coast, California.
Ms. Smith, and I hate to interrupt, but before you publish the next slide, could I confirm that was the slide that had some potentially personal identifier information that needed to be redacted or have that removed? Would you confirm that before it's published, please?
Yes, Your Honor, it did. I can simply ask, I get redacted. However, it's pretty small.
I wish she would have said
Can I
that,
redact it
Courtney.
after, or do you want me to skip it and come
Nobody
back to it after?
suffers alone.
Just make sure it's not published, please.
Okay.
Until it's been redacted.
Okay. Agent, if you could, on the next slide, there appears, and I'm going to do a little leading here just to avoid publishing, if I may. Okay. On the next slide, there appears to be some documents that were found in the SMS, which included documents of life insurance policy. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Okay. Can you tell us what those documents are?
Oh boy,
Those
more
are
life
two,
insurance.
photographs, MMS messages that Lori Vallow sent to Chad Daybell, and they are the screenshots of life insurance policy showing the change of beneficiary from Lori Vallow to Kay Woodcock.
And the date on the images sent would reflect that they were in the iCloud or sent in the iCloud on July 28th of 2019. I'm reading from the slide. Image sent from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell, July 28th, 2019, 9:40 p.m., line 89. Does that sound accurate?
Yes.
Okay. And then there's a second image sent a minute later on July 28th, line 88, reflecting another page and a beneficiary of Kay Woodcock.
Yes.
All right. Why did you include those images in your summary?
Chronologically, the life insurance issue had been discussed between Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow on 2 prior occasions, and this sort of concludes that as the photos that she sent to Chad Daybell to show that beneficiary change.
Yeah, because it was
And
a
so
BFD to
Lori is
Lori.
discussing the beneficiary on her now dead husband's life insurance with Chad Daybell.
Correct.
And then sending him proof of the change of beneficiary.
Yes.
You and I will skip past that and then we'll redact it and we can request permission to publish it at a later date.
All right.
Thank you. Now, turning to a text communication on July 29th, 2019. Do you see that on slide 37?
I do.
Okay. Why did you include this text communication in your summary?
I included it because of its references to causing pain to children.
Okay. Can you please read those, the text communications into the records?
Trigger
Line
warning.
1877
I don't remember what
from
this
Chad
says.
Daybell to Lori Vallow. One question. Do you want me to cause pain yet to those 2 threes you're writing with? Line 1876 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. Probably hold off on then till we arrive. They will be mistake to deal with, but I'll text you if they start acting up and we can zap them. Line 1875 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. Miserable, not mistake. Line 1872 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. Sounds great. Yes, if they are going to act up, we'll at least give them a reason to scream. I love, cherish, treasure, and adore you. The wonderful memories just keep coming back. You are mesmerizing. Raphael is one lucky guy.
Gross.
Now,
Yes,
on July
ATS
29th,
news. That's who
was
they're
this the
talking
time I think
about.
you had mentioned Lori Vallow was getting ready to take a trip?
Yeah, can we reach
Who was she on
100
that trip
thumbs
with?
up? That'd be
Melanie
great.
Boudreau and her children.
Okay. Were Lori Vallow's children with her?
I am not sure if Tylee was present. JJ was with her.
Okay. And so when there's a reference to the 2 3s you're writing with, in context of the defendant's communications and her statements to Melanie Boudreau and her co-conspirator Chad Daybell, who did you believe those 2 3s were?
Objection is calling for speculation.
Sustained.
Did you review Lori Vallow's communications with Chad Daybell and Melanie Boudreau about this trip to California?
Yes.
Okay. And in that communication, did you have a chance to learn who was riding in cars with her?
They took one car with Melanie Boudreau's children and JJ. Again, I'm not sure if Tylee was present.
Okay. And we've seen previous text communications referencing Blake or Brighton or JJ as being possessed, correct?
We haven't seen communications yet regarding JJ being possessed, but yes, to Brighton and Blake.
Okay. And so did you have an opinion on who the 3s were that were in the car in light of the communications?
Brighton and Blake.
Why did you include this particular text string in the communications between Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow?
The references to hurting children and giving them a reason to scream are relevant.
Okay. In any of these references, and I think you've mentioned a couple of times that concept, did you ever see Lori Vallow protest, like, don't do that?
No.
Turning to additional communication on July 29th, 2019, why did you include this series of communications outlined on slide 38?
This is the final communication regarding this life insurance issue with Charles Vallow.
Could you please read slide 38 into the record, please?
Yes. Line 1844 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. From Kay in response to what I sent Larry. Are you angry at me? Charles did this. I told him I didn't want to be party to it. BC, somehow I'd be made out to be the bad guy. Low. All I can say is he must have had a reason to do this regardless of what I said. INS company called me to notify that I'm beneficiary. Wanting JJ for memorial has nothing to do with money. We want him here even though he won't know what's going on because it's a memorial service for his dad. We feel when someone passes that their children attend services to meet/visit with people that loved them in life. And BC, we miss him, period. You have the only say in this matter. If for no other reason, you and I should be able to get along with each other. It doesn't need to be hostile. We miss him so much. I'll leave in the morning to get him if you'd allow it. I'm begging you, please. Line 1839 from Chad Daybell to Lori Vallow. Interesting message from Kay. She doesn't seem inclined to share the money. Hopefully Larry wants to talk to you. Line 1838 from Lori Vallow to Chad Daybell. They are jerks. I was going to say, I hope you are going to give all the money to the kids and not keep it for yourself, but it's fruitless. I'm not responding ever.
And so you included this as sort of the end of the discussion on the life insurance of Charles Vallow.
That's right.
After this, did you ever find any evidence that Lori Vallow responded to any messaging, text, emails, MMS to Kay Vallow? I mean, Kay Woodcock.
I did not.
That's because
Did you
Lori
include
is
this
a
for any
crow
other
bitch.
reason?
No.
Wow.
Your Honor, I certainly can keep going. We have a substantial amount more, but I'm transitioning to a new area. Do you want to take morning break now or just keep going?
Yeah, let's go ahead and take our morning recess.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
So we'll be in recess till maybe 10:35.
All right, please.
What a bombshell about hurting Melanie's kids, though. Wow.
Right. Exactly.
I wonder how Brandon felt hearing that and how Melanie feels now and knowing that Chad and Lori are setting their happy asses in prison and probably won't be leaving ever.
Exactly. But I want to know what
I think we'll have the jurors brought in here
Melanie
pretty quickly,
BP
so we
knew
can
and when
recess.
she
Sure,
knew
please.
it. That's what I want to know. And we were raw. well, I shouldn't say we, because that's not right. The trial isn't for us. It's really for JJ, Tylee, and Tammy, and then the one in Arizona will be for Charles. But I I think she should have been made to answer questions. Unfortunately, she did everything in the world to taint her own testimony by listening to Brandon's, and that's why they didn't call her. I feel like she
Yeah.
should be um held in contempt. Honestly, if anybody else had done it, they would be. Like, I
I
don't
do too.
understand how she's not in trouble.
Yep, I do too. I don't understand it either. Dude, I just killed like 50,000 bugs out here, and I'm like wiping them up by the thousands. It's unreal.
What kind
But
of bugs?
I don't know. They kind of look like mosquitoes. They're like gathering around my porch light. But yeah, let me see. See, like
Oh,
that's
wow.
what I got this like all natural spray, and it actually works. Because I have to stand out here because my internet sucks. Because right now it's storming, so it really sucks. So like I
Oh,
have to. But it's okay. It's
oh
warm.
no.
The freaking bugs.
Well, when I came in earlier, the cat, I guess when I opened the door, there was a spider under the door, but like one of those wolf spiders. And both the cats are trying to chase it. And I was like, no, no, no. And then I had to squish it, which normally I don't squish spiders because they're helper bugs. But I didn't want the cats to go after it because those spiders are poisonous. Oh, sorry,
Oh,
spider.
yeah,
I always
scary.
think of that meme. What if that spider that you just killed thought thought its whole life you guys were roommates, but you don't think about that, do you? Because you're selfish, something like that. I forget how it goes. But I always think about that, and I feel bad for spiders. Like, what if they do think they're your roommate? And then all of a sudden
I,
one day, boom, you unalive them? That seems cruel.
that is funny, but I leave them too. I think they're good because they get rid of other bugs, unless they're poisonous. Like, then of course I'm the same as
Exactly.
you. But
Well,
yeah,
I would
these
have
right
left
here,
that bug
these are
alone. I
good.
would have left that spider if Alice and Mac weren't trying to get it,
Yeah. What kind of spider is it that's poisonous?
like a wolf spider.
Okay.
Yeah.
I bet you guys, because like I guess where it's more tropical here, they have tons of poisonous spiders too. In West Virginia, I'm not so used to that, but last year we saw a black widow out in the driveway and everything. Like there's a lot
Oh,
of creepy crawlies.
shit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've been going for like almost 2 hours, and I was thinking maybe we should save this rest of it for part 2 and
Oh
do the
yeah,
rest
just
of
talk
this.
about spiders and then leave me all alone.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Well, you're on
Yeah.
poop patrol anyways. Bless your heart. I can't believe.
Oh no, I have good news. I found it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, he was hiding it under my pillow. And
Oh,
the only thing that was
even
wrong with
better.
it is the little rubber piece was off of it, but
Oh,
it's unharmed. It's in my ear right now.
oh, good. Those can be
Awesome.
fixed. At least you didn't have
Yeah.
to,
Oh
sift.
yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Oh my
Well,
God,
I
I'm
wouldn't
so
have sifted.
mindful of
If I would have
that.
found it, that just means that I would have been able to stop looking for it.
Oh, it would have just, you would have gotten
I,
closure.
yeah, right, right, right.
Bless his
These
heart.
earbuds, I just got to have some kind of like, well, I didn't just get them. I've had them for a while, and to be honest, I don't even know how this works, but it's called Tile, and I guess you download the app on your phone, and it helps you find them if you lose them.
I
But
need
I've
that for
lost them.
everything in my life. You know how many times I've walked off and left my cup?
Do you know what you should do though with the earbuds? There's a thing on YouTube, like a video you can play that's like find my earbuds. Type in find my earbuds, and there's like a really loud siren noise that will play, and you can turn that
No.
on if it's still connected yet, and then you'll start to hear the earbud. I do it all the time.
Oh, I need that.
Nice.
hmm
Yeah. Okay, I just put my video out.
Oh, let's all go over
What is
there and watch Jen's video.
So basically, it's real short. It's only 5 minutes and 46 seconds. And really, all I did was transcribe Landon's victim impact statement, just with some background stuff. But I think that it's interesting. I find it interesting to read the statement. I mean, it was powerful listening to her. But one of the things about the statement, so she had written out the first part was to Gannon. and the second part was supposed to be to Letitia. But right before the victim impact statements, the judge said, that he wanted everyone to direct their comments toward him rather than the defendant. And so that changed it, and then she got kind of caught up with switching all of the yous to she's and the stuff and the things.
Yes.
Not that there was anything wrong with her statement. I'm not saying that at all, but I think it's a powerful read.
So what'd you guys think about the interview?
I haven't watched it yet. I've been busy with other stuff, but it's definitely happening tonight. What did you think about it? Tell me about it.
Yeah, Allie, I didn't watch it either, so you tell me.
I liked it. I thought it was really good. So, but I'm looking forward to the rest. It's interesting because in the beginning, they kind of touch on Letitia, and like Landon's like, listen, I did trust her and I loved her. I knew her longer than I've known Al. She said we coached softball and played together, and she said, and you know what is so sad about it all? Like Gannon really did tell me how much he loved loved her. He did. He loved her so much, and that's the most tragic part. And
Wow.
just wait till you guys see it. It was really interesting as well to watch like the reporter, because she's been covering it since day one on the local news, and they've sort of, I don't know, you can just, it's interesting the kind of bond that they've kind of formed that you can pick up on a little bit. And
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, no, I'll watch it right away.
She says that she's going to be interviewing the DA and Al as well. So
I know that Tellini gave an interview, didn't he? After he did, and it was real awkward. I'm real proud of myself, and I did the best job I could do, and blah blah. Okay, really, the best job you could have done. I mean, you had a shit case. I'll give you that. Okay,
No, go ahead, finish. I thought you were done. I'll tell you in a second. It's about him, so I won't forget.
It was all, it was a mountain of evidence against her. But you could have asked better questions. Like, come on, you can't see one thing. You can't see one area where there could have been room for improvement. Really? I can think of about 4.
Well, that's another thing, Landon. That's what I was going to say. That's another thing she touches on. She said that he came up to her after the trial and basically gave her some kind and loving words and said that he was sorry and he was touched by it. And she said, I honestly feel bad for him because he had to do it. He had to do his job. And can you imagine having to be that person? She's like, and surprisingly enough, he came up to me after and gave kind words and stuff like that.
Yeah. Wow. Meanwhile, Will Cook was checking his phone while Landon was giving the victim impact statement. He was real slick about it. So he reaches it into his suit jacket and then puts it like under the defense table, kind of like when you're in school and you don't want to get caught being on the phone. That was while Landon was talking and crying. He reaches into his inside pocket in his suit jacket and then, holds the phone under the defense table, responds to messages or does whatever he does, and then puts it back in his suit jacket. And when she first came up there to give the victim impact statement, the first thing he did was turn around and look behind him at the clock on the freaking wall.
Oh, wow. Damn, that's interesting. Like, how long is this going to take? Type of thing. Do you see Lola's comment out?
What did you guys think about what Al said to the reporters afterwards? Did he just slip up when he said he and his wife wouldn't change a thing if they could? Melissa brought that up last night.
I re-listened. I re-listened, and Melissa was right. He did say that they wouldn't. I don't know if he misspoke or what, but the way he says it is a little odd.
I also had a little bit of an awkward moment when he turned around to Landon in his speech and said, "This isn't a dig."
I know.
Yeah.
It's like, I was dude, Elena's with me now. It's like, You did not need to say that. That's not a dig. But why? I don't know. Why even add all that in? I don't know. I can't be critical of either of them. Can you imagine being in their shoes? And I think we can see they're both, grieving
Yes,
incredibly
yes.
hard. So
And
Yeah,
people
for
grieve in
me,
different ways. I just thought just for a minute, just, when he said, I was like, "Oh
yeah,
dear.
I
Why?"
did too. Mhm.
yeah, for me, I was really glad to hear that both Landon and Albert were kind to each other in the victim impact statements and also with the
Mhm.
press afterwards. Because my experience in the courtroom, at least for the first 3 weeks of trial, was that they did not even acknowledge each other. They did not nod. They did not say hello. They avoided each other. They were in the same room. Now, they weren't rude to each other. They weren't nasty to each other. But I'm telling you, there wasn't even eye contact. It was just
Mhm.
like, we have to be here. We have to, and so to see that, that was actually pretty refreshing to me. And I don't think it's bullshit, but I think that they're both trying to,
I
live a certain way these days.
I
And
agree.
at a minimum, they are trying.
Yes,
They've been
I
through
agree.
hell.
They definitely seem
Co-parenting,
like they're trying.
yes, and co-parenting when you don't live, under regular circumstances. I don't want to say normal. I don't like that word because normal
Right.
is very relative. But under regular circumstances, co-parenting is very difficult, under the best circumstances, even, right? But then you take these circumstances, okay? And I would imagine that when they're alone, well, Landon said, and I think Al did too, that they replay all kinds of moments in their minds, wondering what could doing the coulda, shoulda, woulda game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's what that's just human nature. And I would imagine that there are times that they probably, not for long, but for a second, because it is human nature, might have a thought of blame for the other one. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
That's
no, they
normal.
definitely did.
Yeah, that's normal. But these are incredibly difficult circumstances. And what I would hope is at some point, maybe they could all like do some sort of family counseling for Lena's
Hmm.
sake, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
for
when
their
I
own.
when Al did his victim impact statement, it really threw me off. I mean, of course, because I was emotional as hell anyway, and I have to listen to it several times. But when I listened to it the second time, I heard it right. But when I first heard it, he mentioned Lena and how Lena had written something to Letitia, but it was in yellow, and then all of a sudden he's quoting, what was it, Invictus? And
Yes.
I'm thinking that Lena, well, yeah, like I don't know what happened, but
You think
I watched
you
it the
thought
second time.
Lena quoted
Yeah,
Invictus?
yeah, and I'm like, oh, that's not good. That's not good.
Yeah.
Like, but it's just I just heard it wrong. But it just, yeah, that freaked me
Yeah.
out.
I didn't take, I don't want anybody to misunderstand me. It wasn't, I didn't take offense to what Al said about it. He wasn't saying to me. So how, it's not offensive, but for me, it was
Right.
just like, like, ugh,
It was awkward. Yeah, it
it
was
was,
weird.
it was awkward. That's all. It was just like, ow, I just hit the back of my, ow, heel
Well,
with
you
the
know who
door.
it was
Yeah, like
probably awkward for? It was probably most awkward for his new wife who was standing right next to him, and he had to
yeah,
like literally maneuver around to be able to see Landon that couple of
Yeah.
times when he made those comments. And
Yeah.
she just kind of stood there, and she was
And it,
very supportive of him throughout the
yeah.
entire trial. She was always by his side, rubbing his back. And there were a couple of times when Landon was right behind Albert in the next row, and sometimes it got a little awkward because Melissa was on his right, and she had her arm, her hand was like rubbing Al's left shoulder, like
Uh-huh.
with her arm around him, and it kind of felt like that ring was right in Landon's face, like right in her face, And I just, I mean, now I'm not saying she did it on purpose or anything like that, but I'm 2 rows back from that going, oh, that doesn't feel good.
What
It's gotta
happened? Like, what happened to her son? Do you know how they met? And stuff?
He, how do I say it? He unalived himself. He
Oh,
was 13. His name was
Oh, okay.
Mikey.
oh no, that's
Oh,
awful. That's awful.
Yeah.
that
That
is
was in
awful.
August of
I was
2020.
wondering if it was a crime because he said that like it didn't get a lot of media attention or something, so it made me wonder, was
No.
it a crime? Okay,
Or maybe he was
God.
bullied and that's what they wanted to talk about. I'm not sure. I don't know. I will say this. Um, I would like to know more when Landon gets it all situated and together about this foundation because,
Hmm.
I had put up a couple of weeks ago, us doing something in honor of Gannon. And while I like the idea of putting something in Florida for a memorial at his, because that's where I am. Plus, there's one of the girls in here lives by there and passes it all the time. I like that idea, but I also would like to see something really good come out of this tragedy if that's possible. Do you know what I mean? And if Landon is doing some type of foundation, I would like to, contribute to that so that it can go further. Like, how much is a memorial going to help anybody? You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, is she doing that? I know she has a GoFundMe, and so does Al, but I don't know if they're doing
She
like you
talked
mean like
about it.
okay,
She talked about it. So I would like to when I mean, not it's she's probably waiting for the trial to be over and to
right?
process all of that because it's monumental what they went through. I mean, they
Hmm.
lost Gannon. That's difficult enough. Okay. Then you have Letitia. Just you guys have met her. You're familiar with her brand, right? But then you get to the trial. Okay. And there's stuff that came out in the trial that I'm sure that Landon and Al didn't know yet. Do you know what I mean? They couldn't
Oh,
have
I don't know.
do you think they didn't know? I mean, like the stuff she said in her
She said today.
interviews.
She did, and that's another thing. She said today, yes, a lot of it they did not know. She said some of it they couldn't know, and actually a good deal of it they
Wow.
didn't.
Yeah. So can
See,
you
I would have
imagine
thought that the
listening that
district
again?
attorney's office would have warned them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's what she said.
That sucks. That
Well,
You think
sucks.
that they're supposed to, but as far as I know, like at least to an extent, but I don't know how much they can about certain details. But you would think, yeah, before the most graphic and like the fact that the two things that stuck with her the most were the sound of
yeah.
Gannon's voice in that video saying pinky promise and then that last breath comment. Like you would think that when things are like when she emulated his last breath, that maybe they would warn him, but I guess they didn't.
She said those 2 things affected her the most.
Well, she
Hmm.
said it in her sanity evaluation with Dr. Lewis. And
Right, but that was introduced by the prosecution. They knew
right,
they were
but
going to play it.
well, yeah, but I mean, I don't know if they knew. Oh, well, that's true. They did. They had to have known the day before because they brought it up, or even when they were uh, when Doctor Torres was on direct. So you're right about that. They probably, I don't know how, but that my point is, to have to then they had to relive it again but worse because of the details that came out. Even if they had known those details, hearing it would have been difficult again. And then on top of it, I'm sure on some level, Al has put the contents of those 11 billion calls out of his mind as much as he can. Do you know what I mean? I think I would do it. And then to have to hear her voice again you know, which remember, there are phone calls that they had that were recorded that we did not hear. And so I would imagine that hearing the phone calls that were played in open court probably caused him to recall some of the details from the calls that we didn't get to hear. So God only knows what's on those, and God only knows the things that came out of Letitia's mouth. I mean, and Landon nailed it when she said that Leticia lives to be cruel, and the Cape
Yeah, the
story
Cape thing. Yeah.
was I mean, I agree with Landon. I think she said a lot of things. I think a lot of the things that she said were a measure of cruelty. They were done intentionally to inflict more pain. And the face that she had when Landon was, her face was different for Al, but the face that she had, the look on her face that she had when Landon was up there is, all I can say is, to me, what it looked like is, oh my God, do I have to sit through this?
Right.
Looked,
Well, because in Letitia's mind, she's gonna, at first, back when she thought she could get away with it, she was gonna frame somebody else. And that was gonna be her up there giving a victim impact statement.
yes,
That was her role. And Landon stole it. No, you murdered Landon's child.
exactly.
Ugh.
She's just
But yeah, that's
awful.
what Letitia wanted to be.
Yeah, she
She wanted
did.
to be in that role.
She did. The consummate victim and martyr.
Yep, absolutely. Well, Jen, thank you for having me tonight, and I'm glad we went over
Anytime.
this. And we're gonna
Me
do the
too.
rest. You said, right?
Yeah, we have to do the rest.
Okay.
We'll
Awesome.
talk and figure out a schedule, because I do want to get with you too about the Henrietta
Yes. Whenever
story
you're ready,
too.
you let me know. Cause like
Okay.
I've just been putting out the new information that came out, but we need to have like a sit down discussion and go through
Yeah,
it
we
all and
do.
talk about it. And yeah, that'll be really
We
fun.
do.
And
We
then
absolutely do.
we also have Coburger stuff coming up, and
Yes. So we're gonna need to revisit that stuff.
I
So a
know.
refresher. Then we
And
got Boone coming.
yes, and they've released hundreds of documents, at least 100 and some, in the Coburg, like in between the attorneys. And I don't know if there's little nuggets in there. I'm sure there is, but I
Of
haven't
course
had
there
the time
is.
to look. Yeah.
Yeah, me either. And we still got to do a deep dive on Vallow too, because
Yeah.
so much stuff. Well, thank you guys all for being here. I appreciate it. Thanks for being here, Crime Curious. You guys go on over to Crime Curious's channel after this and go check out her new video, and be sure to subscribe and give her a thumbs up on the video, because those videos take a lot of work. They really do.
Yep.
I know. I just realized I have to go back and put it all in the description. I forgot that part.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
That's all right. I'm getting the hang of it.
You're getting
Yes,
there.
you're doing a
You'll
great
get
job.
there. You are
Yeah.
doing a great job.
Well, good night, ladies. I wouldn't want to end my night any other way.
Me
No,
either.
me too. Thank
Thank
you
you
for
so
coming.
much.
And
All
good
right.
night, Jen. I love you guys. Appreciate you, and I'll see you soon. Bye, chat.
Okay,
Love you too. Bye.
bye, you guys.